You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
What's going on, everybody? Obviously, I'm not Kyle. He's behind the scenes. He might pop on to give us his review of some of the books, but don't worry, Dan's back here, so you got somebody who knows what they're talking about. So stay tuned. This is in stores this week.
Hey everybody, welcome to In Stores This Week with Jay and the sick boy. Say when it's time to change.
It's time to change.
So I put on my Carolina Panther hat so that both Jay and I will be supporting the state neither one of us lives in.
Most of my family's from there, so.
Most of my family's from sperm originally, but who knows? I don't have that hat.
Oh,
How you doing, Jay?
pretty good, man. I actually enjoyed quite a few of the books this week.
Oh, good. One of us should have. No. There were some pretty good books this week. I'm sure. At the store somewhere. We got 10 books to cover today.
Yep.
But since I got you here, since we just talked about Hawkeye in the last show, what did you think of the Hawkeye series?
I think that Jenna and I need to finish the other how many episodes are left because we only watched one episode.
You just watched the first episode?
Dude, I'm not going to get myself in trouble, but if my wife doesn't sit down and watch and binge the whole thing, no telling when we're going to watch it.
You guys need to watch it.
Yes.
So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into the books. We'll get started, and we'll go off in other directions as we go. Ed says, I so hope Monsters, Where Monsters Lie 2 wasn't a letdown. I would tell you, but I want you to stick around, so
Yeah.
we'll get there. All right, we are going to start with a new book from Mad Cave called Hunt, Kill, Repeat, which we just had Michael London, the writer of the book, on yesterday with Talking Shop. So if you buy this book, you like it, go check out the interview Jenna did with him, filling in for Miss Jen. So this is an interesting book. It is steeped in Greek mythology. So if you're a fan of that, you will like it. That is actually Athena on the cover. Is it Athena? No, it's
Artemis.
Artemis. In one, they're all A names, and the other one, she's Diana. So she's Artemis, and the gentleman behind her is Zeus. And it's kind of an interesting setup here. But let's go ahead, Jay. What did you think of the book?
This is just a good old revenge story with the gods. It, like you said, Jenna interviewed Mark London of Mad Cave on Monday's Talking Shop, and she got to read the Ash Can. So she was telling me about this before he was on the show. It kind of feels, and she asked him the question, was Kill Bill like an influence on this? And he said, a little bit. So imagine kind of like a Kill Bill story with the Greek or whatever gods. I can't remember which ones they are, but with the gods in it. And, you know, I got to say, after reading this, Mad Cave I think they got another big hit on their hands. Like, I love Nottingham, but this first issue is really good.
If it's Zeus, it's Greek. If it's Jupiter, it's Roman.
Okay.
It's always a good way to remember it. I agree. This does have a very Kill Bill vibe set in Greek mythology. Um, Also, a little of the there was something else I was picking. A little Wonder Woman feel to it.
Yeah.
You know, uh, Kyle, did you read this one? You can nod. Do you want to give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or in between? Two thumbs up.
Nice.
All right, Kyle gives us two thumbs up. I'm going to agree with both of them. I thought this was a really good start to a series. The art's pretty good. The cover, I love the cover. That's a really nice cover. And it's a pretty good story. I'm curious to see where this goes. I hope Mad Cave keeps sending us this series so we can, it's not a one and done for us.
Yeah.
So I think all three of us recommend this book. So I noticed that Eddie says, just 1 week, I want to see a Sonia free list just once. I'll tell you, it was close. Sonia was the last book that I added to this list. But there just wasn't a lot of other things, you know? And we've been reading this particular Jim Zub written Sonia book, so we didn't want to give up on it. John, so John's a little biased, huh? John, do you work for Mad Cave?
No, we're just gonna call you John Castle, my boss. Yeah, I'm not even gonna pretend to even attempt that.
Ioannis and Athanasios. Yeah, I'm done.
But you know what? You look like that name. You look like you're a Spartan warrior, man.
Yeah, I would use that name all the time and make people pronounce it properly. All right, we're moving on. Kyle seems wants us to move on. So this is a Zenescope book that, unlike some of the ones we've been reading lately, we've been enjoying this one. And by the way, if Nick is still listening, check out the artist on this book, Nick. I really like the art on this issue. I kept thinking, how do I convince Nick to hire this guy to work with me on something? This is the third issue of Return of the Wicked Witch. The premise here is that there was a Wicked Witch of the North before Glinda got her powers, and she's coming back and is basically kicking everybody's ass. So, Kyle, did you read this one? You got a thumb on this one? It's in the middle. Okay, it's not a thumbs down. It's not a thumbs up. It's kind of, it's leaning down. It's leaning down. All right. 64 pages. Was this 64? No.
It didn't feel that way, though.
No, this was only 40. This wasn't a 64 pager.
Somebody
what about you? What about you, Jay? What did you think of it?
Right beforehand, hello to everybody. Forgot to say hi to everybody who's in the chat. Yeah. I don't really remember the first two, but you don't need it. You don't need it. Honestly, I thought this was really good. Like there was two little things, and they were not even. It's just there was a bit too much time dedicated to the flashback that felt like that could have been an issue one kind of thing. And then there were times that something was being explained. It didn't feel like it needed an explanation. Like the example was there was one of the tree people, and they're sitting there narrating what you're looking at on the page. Oh, he's trapped under a rock and he's trying to get to the other part of his body. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, I can see that. I kind of didn't need them to tell me that. But I mean, outside of that, though, I thought this was really good. This could have been just one issue. Like, I don't know. There's something about this issue that felt like a complete story to me. But I thought it was really good. Definitely one of the better ones we've read.
Eddie says they dropped 20 pages of content with fish people so Jay wouldn't mock them too much. Yes, this is Cthulhu and Fish People free. Kyle says, my only quibble with the Oz book is that it's hard to focus for me right now, and it was just too much. The story and art were great, but I had to take a nap after. Fair enough. John says he likes the series, and I do too. This also wraps up, by the way. This is the third part of 3. So this is David Wool. And again, I thought the Guillermo, I can't read his name on the bottom, and I forgot to look at Fargo. I thought his art was really good. It had remnants of Carmine Infantino in it for me, the faces and stuff. So I really like that. I like the story too. I do like what they've done with these characters because they've taken them to, they've given them more backstory than just what we see in the Wizard of Oz movie. They've fleshed them out a little bit. Now, I don't know what happened to the Tin Man, why we're missing the Tin Man. So I wrote the Tin Man for them one time. So I'm like, where'd he go? But it's a fun series. So check it out. Again, the 3rd issue, so you can look for the back issues if you haven't picked them up yet. All right, this is why I hope you guys don't give up on Zenescope. They do come up with some gems. They do. I think right now they've just chosen a path that doesn't sit well with a couple of us. The going the Lovecraftian route, and that may be because they changed head editor-in-chief with David Wool coming in. He's bringing his writing sensibilities.
Outside of the fish people joke, for me, I think the best part of the series was it was self-contained. Like, we weren't pulling in Red Agent or, some other character into the story. It's all people that, to my knowledge, are in the land of Oz.
Right. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next book. Barbarella, The Center Cannot Hold, #1. Now, I'm not familiar with the term the center cannot hold, but I know it's a saying. It's more than just Sarah Hoyt decided that'd be a great title. I just don't know what it's referenced to. This picks up from the last Barbarella series. It still has Vex, the little creature. It still has her hologrammed angel guy. And it does seem to be carrying on. They're heading back to Vex's planet is where we pick up. And it takes some interesting turns back and forth. Jay, what did you think of this issue?
I thought the art was really good. I really liked the use of the shadows and shading on the faces in certain panels. I thought that was really good. The only really confusing thing to me was is it Vix or Vex?
I think it's Vex. It might be Vix.
Well, either way, how that character spoke was confusing at times because sometimes it was broken English in third person, and then sometimes it flipped to the English was perfect and spoken first person. So I was like, well, okay, like little bitty nitpick. That's about the only thing I had on that. I just found it strange. Overall, the story was all right, a little slow for me, but I'll leave you with this. Of course, they named the rabbit James.
All right, John, you'll be happy to know that if you like the last series, this really does just pick up art, covers, story. It really just feels like we're just moving into the next part of the first story. So, if you like the first season, make sure you pick up this one. So, you got a thumbs up, thumbs down for us there, Kyle? Things fall apart. The center can't hold. Oh, thumbs up. Mere anarchy. Oh, things fall apart. The center can't hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. It's the opening line to a William Butler Yeats poem called The Second Coming. That makes sense, being that this is the second series from Sarah Hoyt. So, all right, for me, I like this book a lot. I enjoy reading. I'm happy when it shows up on our list. My only thing is that for me, my first experience with Barbarella was, of course, the Jane Fonda movie. I watched at the age of 13 before my parents got home, or they would have killed me for having watched it. Um, so I have certain expectations on a Barbarella story, and these are a little more toned down than what we get in the European uh, novels and in that movie. So it's a little more toned down than that, but otherwise, it's a really good story. I think Sarah, yes, JD. Uh, I think Sarah's doing a great job. I think the art is really good as well. I don't remember who the artist is off the top of my head, but it's a really good read. So the new movie has some of this in it, then it'll be a hit. Yeah. Is it Sydney
Sweeney?
Sydney Sweeney is going to be the actress. So, and they mentioned somebody else is getting cast in it too, but I don't remember off the top of my head. All right.
Oh, see, can I? No. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to Purgatory Must Die. Now, this is kind of a weird title for me because it's less about purgatory and more about everybody, because this is the end game of the Purgatory series. With the portals open and everybody shows up. That's this issue. We get Evil Ernie, we get Lady Hell, we get Vampirella and Nyx and Draculina and Chastity and
Panther
and Lilith. I mean, there's a lot of people. Oh, and Purgatory's in it. So Alvaro Sarasico is still doing great art. Ray Fox is writing. And let's go ahead and Kyle, did you get a chance to read this one? It's me. All right. And Jay, what do you think?
I've been liking this one, but can we get to the actual fight soon? Like it's been 3 issues of looking for Purgatory, so I'm kind of hoping that issue 4, with the way this ends, has the actual fight. It's still good, nonetheless. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't want this to become Dynamite: The Armageddon Game, featuring cameos. Good, yeah. But let's get it going.
Jay, of course, is referencing our current feelings towards the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Armageddon Game series, which doesn't seem to really be getting out of the post or the preseason yet. Kyle says, it's not bad. It's not great. It's solid. I'm with Jay. Let's see some carnage. I'm enjoying a little bit of the all the other characters running around like the Keystone Cops, just trying to find her. You could hear the hopefully that wasn't enough to hit copyright, though I doubt that's in copyright anymore. I'm enjoying Purgatory and the guy she's been hanging out with for all 3 series. This is one of 3 series that Ray Fox has been doing. He did Purgatory, then he did a second miniseries, and now this is the 3rd one that wraps it up. So this is like the Ray Fox version of Purgatory, Purgatory is a very interesting character and is, had some, has been bounced around quite a bit. So she's got her home here at Dynamite now. I'm liking the story. I too wish they would get to the actual fighting, but like I said, I did kind of find it funny watching them all fighting each other, just trying to get to her, and her just being on the other side of this magic wall. So I like that. It was kind of funny.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. John says, love you guys. And just so you know, you did a great job on these videos. All right. By the way, guys, what books do you want us? I mean, is there any titles you guys think we should be? Because right now we're reviewing the books that we get access to, but we could start kicking down doors. So if there's a particular publisher you think we should be, I mean, of course, we'd love Marvel and DC books, or Image, but we're attempting to get those. But is there a small publisher, an indie publisher, you guys want us to see do more with? Let us know, and we'll see what we can do. So, all right, we're going to move on here to The Unbreakable Red Sonja, number 4. This one does a massive switch by the end of this episode or issue. But this is Jim Zub, who is a great writer, but he's really becoming known as the Sword and Sorcerer fantasy writer with the D&D feel to it. And this is continuing that story. If you guys don't remember this one so far, this is Red Sonja running around with a younger version of herself, and they end up in this city that used to be just this little village, and now it's full of religious zealots, and a cult. Kyle says, I talked to a few more indie publishers at Comics Pro. We are working on new companies, including Sumerian. Yeah, very cool. All right, Jay, what did you think of Unbreakable Red Sonja number 4?
This was a really good issue. It had a shocking ending, at least one that was shocking to me. It kind of felt part butterfly effect, part insert any other time travel movie in there, where you do something in the past and it affects the future. I'm curious as to what's going to happen in the next issue. At the end of this one, I was like, this just got super interesting. And the Unbreakable Red Sonja is probably one of 2 of my favorite Red Sonjas we've read. The other one being, and I can't remember which one it is, but the one that had kind of the Arthurian tale mixed in. I dug that one too, but I really, really like this one.
That was Invincible Red Sonja.
Okay.
Don't ask me how I remember. Kyle, what did you think on this one? 2 thumbs up. Kyle liked this one quite a bit.
1.75.
1.75 thumbs up. Okay. Let's see. John says, I love that you don't do Marvel or DC because everyone does them. What makes you guys stand out is that you do the indie books. Well, thank you, John. Image. We definitely want to get some Image titles. I thought this book was really good. I didn't see it going the direction that it did. I expected it to be more of a bait and switch, oh, this is what God tells you to do. And it's really just somebody wanting them to do what they want. And no, this takes a very different approach. Not one I've seen a whole lot in comics, and it's a good read. So I think we're being very positive today on these, other than the couple that Kyle didn't like.
Definitely agree with you, John. This cover is awesome.
Yeah, that's Lucio Parrillo, who he nails his covers. I mean, they're either good or great is pretty much his range. So, all right, let's check out a new book, a new title from also I'm a big fan of Boom Studios, and I think we've got one from Boom coming up now because this hat is super soft and warm. Does that mean you don't need the hat I'm sending you?
He needs all the hats.
Oh, he needs all the hats. Okay.
He needs all the hats.
I'm sorry, this book is actually from Dark Horse. I knew it was from somebody, but I thought it was Boom. But I still need the Jane Cobb hat, Dan. Okay, that's going to be mailed to you soon. This is a new book from Dark Horse and Ubisoft. It's based on an upcoming pirate video game, because there are not enough pirate video games. Oh, yeah. Nick wants to remind you guys to hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe buttons, because we are going to be giving away a bunch of slabbed comics. As soon as we fit 1,500, we're going to start picking subscribers and stuff. So maybe not as soon as, but once we hit 1,500, we'll start picking winners. Each show will have one to give out. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. So, all right. This, like I said, this is Skull and Bones: Savage Storm. It is based on a pirate video game upcoming, and the story premise here is basically a pirate is running down another ship, and they both get hit by a typhoon and forced onto a small island. Well, it gets pretty crazy after that. So, Kyle, did you get a chance to read this one? And what did you think, sir? 1.5 thumbs up.
Okay.
If he does this, I'm going to be really confused.
Absolute zero.
How about you, Jay? What were your thoughts on this?
So right off the bat, it's Dark Horse art all the way. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there's something about Dark Horse where almost all their art looks the same. But like I said, it's not bad. That's not a bad thing. That's not a knock on it. It's just easily recognizable. I don't have a whole lot to say on this one. It seems like a normal pirate story, but we'll just have to wait and see, if it stays that way. I'm really hoping it does. To be honest with you, it'd be nice to have just a pirate story that's not mixing genres like pirate and horror, pirate and aliens. Just a normal pirate and supernatural, just a normal pirate story. Because this was super interesting. So I hope it stays that way. So I liked it.
Did you say pirates and horror?
Yes.
Okay, I misheard you, and I thought, but those two things do go together.
Yeah.
Didn't have to say it. Okay, this was fascinating to me because you'll forget that it's supposed to be based off a video game when you get into it. It doesn't feel like a game adaptation. It is an interesting story. You've got a couple characters that you want to follow. You want to know what's going on. They're not characters expected. There's a lot of female characters in this cast, which was surprising to me, but they work really well. Because you'd expect it to be, you don't get a lot of females on pirate ships. Yeah. But this was a clever story. I really liked it. John Jackson Miller is writing it. I believe he and there's a co-writer on it. The art, it does have a Dark Horse feel to it. I'll agree with you on that. Though Titan kind of has that feel a little bit too. But overall, this is interesting, and it almost has me wanting to know what the game is going to be like. Is it going to be ship warfare, or is it going to be pirates on an island fighting? Because both of those could work.
Yeah.
But ship warfare to me is probably a little more interesting, or if it's a combination of the two.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool. So... I almost expected Jay, beloved fish people, to show up, and was glad that they didn't.
Same.
By the way, speaking of fish people, it is sad to hear about the passing of Rico Browning, one of the gentlemen who wore the original Creature of the Black Lagoon costume in the original movie. He passed away today. Rico did the underwater stunts, and he did a lot of other stuff as well. But yeah, so Rico Browning passed away today. He was the last person to have played one of the original Universal monsters to have been alive. So
wow,
I can't off the top of my head remember the name of the other gentleman who played the creature out of the water, but I actually had a chance to meet him, have a bunch of signed stuff from him, and then, which was neat. But that's how I got involved, really learning about the characters. I knew one of them, and it's like,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. We're about halfway through the show, and we're flying through books, aren't we, Kyle? So you guys ready for The Mandalorian tonight? I say tonight because I'm in LA, but... Oh, Dan will have the director of the CBD on next Wednesday. Okay. I will have the director of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund on the Dan Wickline show next Wednesday to talk about the challenges to graphic novels right now. You see it all over the place. Books being banned, taken out of libraries. You see what's going on down in Florida, where they're blocking things altogether. School libraries can't even have their books on display. They have to be covered until somebody can come in and approve the books. So we're going to talk about the censorship of books and stuff with the head of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund on Wednesday of next week. So tune in for that. You'll definitely want to hear that conversation. Tom Hennessy, is that the guy's name? Okay.
I don't know, man. If Edward says it, it's probably correct.
Yeah. What's on the show this week, Dan? On Thursday, I'm going to be talking about The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow yet because that guy got sick, and I was expecting the Comics Pro update for tomorrow. So I will see what I can come up with tomorrow. I've been threatening doing an Ask Me Anything. Oh, Tom Hennessy, that name doesn't seem right to me, but I'm not. You're that was the Gill Man. Okay. It could be. I could just be completely misremembering it. But yeah, so tomorrow it could be doing an Ask Me Anything. Maybe I'll do the crochet shows, but Ed's been wanting for so long. We'll see.
Both.
Jay, what's coming up on Triangle?
Triangle of Truth.
Triangle of Truth. I was trying to remember Triangle of Sadness, Triangle of Terror.
I got
Triangle
some. I got some cool Kickstarter unboxing videos coming out later this week. Sean just did a video about the pop-up cons. He got to take Jenna to the opening of Ant-Man at a movie theater, and they had a pop-up con there. And Sean had a really good time, thought it was a really great idea. So he made a video asking about, why isn't this done more? Before that, I did my top 5 favorite live-action Clark Kent Superman TV shows. Ranked them not from worst to best, but I liked it too. I loved it.
Okay.
So got a lot of stuff coming. Just got to have the time to sit down, edit, and put it up.
Kyle says, if I have a voice tomorrow, maybe we can do a recap. Don't hold your breath because I can't. Okay. Chef says, Seinfeld-esque show about nothing. I think that's just the definition of the Dan Wickline show. John says, by the way, Kyle, are you going to MegaCon? Are you going to MegaCon, Kyle? No. He's been banned from Florida, so there was a rooster incident we can't talk about. Yeah, but you will know about it in the upcoming movie Meth Gator. Just so you know.
From Asylum.
Yes. Other publishers whose books we are working on getting for the show are Rebellion 2000 AD, nice, and Opus Comics, who I'm not familiar with. Kyle says, John, I'm not going to MegaCon after this bout with COVID. I'm taking a break. Sure, we'll use that excuse, not the restraining order. John wanted you to buy you some drinks. You can send gift cards. Opus has only been around about a year. Okay. Now is that like, the Latin term opus, the grandiose thing, or is that like opus from Bloom County?
Lots of heavy metal music vibes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Death Dealer. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. That's cool. We'll definitely check out Opus. All right. We're going to get back to the books and the one that Ed has been waiting for.
Yes.
Where Monsters Lie, number 2. This, of course, is a fascinating book about a small community where a whole bunch of serial killers all live together. And we left it off at a very interesting place after the first issue where the police were about to raid the community after somebody had a potential victim had escaped. So let's go ahead and go with Jay. What did you think of this issue?
This was another banger of an issue. Man, this just the story behind Special Agent Connors and just like the suspense while he's like heroically monologuing. I literally felt a tension like at any second he was going to be taken out. Now that didn't happen, but the tension was there. Like I felt it. I was getting nervous for him. And it's not a lot of times that books do that to me where I actually feel something like that. It was another bloodbath issue. Like the action in this is just, it's great. I'm still waiting to see what one of the characters does because I can't say his name on the show, but he wears a bear on his head. I want to see this guy lose it. He hasn't yet, but man, this is, if you enjoyed the first issue, you definitely need to get this one. I have a feeling if this series keeps going the way it's going, this is going to be one of those books that people talk about for years after it's over. You know, hey, did you end up getting the first print of this? Because if not, it's like $60 now. You know, I have a feeling it's going to be one of those books.
This could easily be a Netflix series, and I will predict now that particular character that you're waiting to go off will go off, and it'll be because somebody stepped on his flowers.
Oh.
Yep. Kyle, what did you think? 6 thumbs up. Would they be severed thumbs that you took off of people just so you could do that? All right. This is such a weird book. Yes, those are my trophies. Okay. This is such a weird book. You have interesting characters. All I could think of is that the raid that's happening is if you're going to raid a small community where you think there's a bunch of serial killers, don't you think about getting a few more competent cops? Maybe not the small town idiots that didn't notice there was a community of serial killers. Maybe you bring in some guys from the outside. I don't know. Anyway, this isn't, the first one had some humor to it, but it was dark. This one is just creepy.
Yeah.
In all the right ways. So, yeah, Kyle Starks is a madman, and I love him. Okay, that's what Kyle says. I'm really enjoying Peter Kowalski's artwork on this.
Yeah.
So this is a really good book, and it doesn't feel like a normal Dark Horse book.
No.
Yeah, this is definitely out there.
No,
Barney and Andy can't handle it. Yeah. Yeah, Andy, go ahead and give Barney all 6 bullets on this one. Not just the one he keeps in his shirt.
And every character's interesting too. Like it's not just I'm just interested in the guy with the bear. All of them are interesting. Like the lady with the puppet. I forget the lady's name, but the puppet's name is Frankie.
Yeah.
I want to know more about them too. Like I hope everybody gets just that moment to shine in this book because all the characters are interesting.
Yeah, it's a good second issue. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the drug trip book, Breath of Shadows. This is basically about a rock band with a disturbed lead singer who's needing time away, and the band doesn't let him get it because they decide on this trip to South America, I think it is. He goes on this Aztec Mayan expedition, and they decide to come along with it to make sure to protect their investment type of thing. And this book just gets weirder and weirder as well. Kyle, did you read it?
Oh.
Kyle didn't like it. Kyle is tapping out on this one. Eddie says that narrows it down to every rock band ever. Yes, but it's a 70s rock band. Late 60s, early 70s, I'm thinking. So Alex Cormack is a friend of mine, and I love his art, and I think this book is good, but it got me 8 kinds of triggered. Okay. Jay, what did you think?
This issue was a bit slower paced than the first one, I think. I'm still enjoying it though, because knowing how Rich Douek writes, and how he usually writes, kind of helps me, because I know that the story is about to get going. It's just a really slow burn right now. I think once we find out what's really going on, what they're looking for exactly, I'm really hoping the payoff's going to be worth it. Like I said, I trust the team that's on this book. I've read many books by this team, and a lot of there's some of their stuff that does start out kind of slow, not as slow as this, but man, once it starts going, it goes. So I'm excited to see where they go with this.
I'm a little mixed on this one. I like the story. And again, I agree with you that this one's a little slower, and I'm curious where they're going. I think all of what you said is right. But there is this one aspect of the story that I know it's supposed to be this added thing, but right now it's just a distraction. And that's these visions that the main character has.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're there. They don't really give us a reason why it's there. And maybe when they get around to explaining it, it'll make sense. But I would almost at this point prefer that wasn't happening. Because I think it's an interesting enough story on its own with what's going on, that whatever that is and becomes, I think is more of a, like I said, it's just a distraction at this point.
Yeah,
You know?
I couldn't tell if it's being alluded to, like when he's shot up, if it's like his mind when he's tripping, but then again, there's times where he hasn't done anything and he's seen this stuff. So I myself am kind of confused on what exactly that part of the book is supposed to be.
And Ed, that's a great way to describe it. He says the cover reminds him of Inagata Davida. So, or In the Garden of Eden, depending on how you look at that one. Kyle says, I don't want the cover of this book as a blacklight poster. Or I do want the cover of this book as a blacklight poster, for science. Yeah, they had some other covers for this one. I'm like, no, we're doing this one.
Good choice.
Yeah. Eddie, you know the story behind the title of that song, right? Well, you brought it up now, Kyle.
Drinking. And
we are running pretty good here. So while Kyle types, please remember to subscribe here, as we're going to be giving away those slabbed books. And remember, In Stores this week is brought to you by the Comic Shop Locator. The Comic Shop Locator, so when you're out of town, when you're traveling, or if you're just looking for someplace new to shop, check out Comic Shop Locator, put in your zip code or a zip code of wherever you're going, and they will show you to the comic shops near you. But remember to call and make sure that the hours are correct.
Yes.
So,
yep.
In the Garden of Eden by Acid-Laden Gibbons. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Slurred his words saying it.
Yep. It's kind of like Magic Carpet Ride. They don't know what the actual lyrics were because they never wrote them down. So now they listen to it to remember it. Or Springsteen the other night was on, well, it might have been a while ago. There was a question about one of his songs, and he brought the liner notes so he could clear it up.
Liner
And,
notes.
and he realized that the liner notes were not what he remembered.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, so he's been singing it wrong all these years too. So, oh, was it Thunder Road? The back door sways or the back door swings or whatever it is. So, all right, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer special. This picks up from the Last Vampire Slayer special. This is an older version of Buffy and of Spike with the daughter of Tara and
Willow.
Willow. Thank you. So I know Buffy was long, but how was his? The Last Vampire Slayer series so far has been one of my favorite incarnations that Buffy is doing, or that they're doing over at Boom with Buffy. And so this continues that. So I had some high hopes with it, but we're going to go to Jay first, let him give his review.
As always, folks, if this is something you're into, these are just my opinions. Don't let me deter you from getting this book at all. Okay, just want to point that out. But yawn. Much like the Firefly in comics, the Buffy comics just aren't for me. They just aren't for me. This to me was boring, it was predictable, and it was way too try hard with some of the dialogue and some of the actions that take place in it. So it's definitely a pass for me. But if you're into the Buffy universe, by all means pick this up. But it's just not for me.
Kyle?
Of course.
I do like this series, and what's funny is Spike is. I like the character of Spike mainly because of. Oh, I like the old lady Buffy. This was fun. I wish it was a series or a movie or something. Yeah, this would be a fun point for them to come back to if they ever decided to reboot Buffy. But wait maybe another 10 years. Let Sarah Michelle Gellar get older. Let James Marston get older. Let him play these characters at that age. It was a little slow. It is a little teen angsty, but it is also an interesting universe they're playing in. We get to see another one of the characters back finally. We see what it's like to see a Slayer in this universe that is also a witch that has magical powers. So it is something really interesting and different and a neat way for me to continue on these characters. So I like that quite a bit. Eddie says, or anything sang by Bob Dylan in the last 40 years. He's saying that Dylan just going to make things up and just gives I'm not going to pass up a chance to do a Dylan. All right, we have one book left. Drum roll, please. Kushi in Hell. I thought this was going to be the last issue of the series, even though it says 3 of 4. Because when I was reading it, it felt like we were getting to the end. No. Have to go before I do. I want to say thank you guys for a great Tuesday. Brightest spot of my week. Well, you're very welcome, John. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Always glad to have you. This is Mike Mignola doing a spin-off character from Hellboy, also a character from Russian mythology. I think it's Russian. Kyle usually knows more about this character. This has been a fun series, so let's see what you guys thought. Kyle, what'd you think of this? It's thumbs up. You've been liking this series the whole time. Really good art, good story. Mr. J, how you doing on this one?
I'm never bored reading this one. Never bored. Plenty of action, some light humor, awesome creature designs. The witches were terrifying. overall, just a great story. Uh, I am kind of sad that the next issue is the last one,
Hmm.
but hopefully it's just the last of this arc, and we start a new one. Uh, I'm curious how they're going to end it, and think the last thing I could say about this is actually my favorite title from the World of Hellboy series that we've been reading. This is my favorite. All three issues have been just stellar to me.
Kyle says this feels like if M Night Shyamalan wrote a Magnolaverse book. No, this one's good.
Hey, he has that one every 10, 15, 20 years.
You're right. I forgot Stuart Little. Oh, I mean, that is Twisty Turny. Okay. Yeah, I really like this as well. I got a lot of high hopes for what's going on with Hellboy right now. Hellboy in Love has been great. This has been good. We didn't read it this week, but there's the Castle Full of Blackbirds was continuing. That came out this week, but watching Kyle try to choke himself. So, and then the news that a new Hellboy movie is in the works as well. So all of that seems really interesting to me. I'm a big Hellboy fan. I love how Mignola takes these folk tales and mythologies and stuff and turns them into his own little universe. And Koshi is not somebody I've ever been familiar with.
Mm-mm.
This is all new type of mythology to me. And I'm absolutely enjoying the hell out of this. So I'm with you. I hope there's going to be more. And maybe if the Hellboy movie does well, maybe we'll get a Koshi movie.
Now, speaking of which, since that was the last book, do you think they should try again for the R rating, or do you think they should stick with PG-13?
Kyle's shaking his head to a yes or no, or to a 2-point question. Ed says he wants to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I just want them to do a good story. I don't want them to write for ratings. I want them to tell the story they want to tell and get the rating they get. This should be a pirate's first favorite movie. A hard R. Yeah. Again, I've never been one that says, "Oh, this needs to be an R. That needs to be that." That's. I want them to do a good movie. Then worry about the ratings. You know. Yeah. So
this is also one of those things. So we got just a little bit of time left. This is also one of those things where I've always been told, you know, there's certain things, and I think Hellboy is probably one of them. My other one is Gears of War. They're making a Gears of War movie. That's my favorite franchise. Own all the comics, read all the books, have all the games, all that. Hellboy feels like it would make a better 6 to 8 episode series, and then maybe lead into a movie. Just because there's so much lore behind this character.
yeah. Yeah, I think I want them to do more of a stripped down story, but they're going to do the Crooked Man. So that is a more self-contained. It doesn't go into a ton of lore, so it makes sense to pull from that one. You know, that they don't have to go into a whole lot of explanation. And I think that was one of the problems with the last Hellboy movie. I thought David Harbour was fine. I thought there was some good stuff. I thought the effects were good. I think they just went a little too convoluted in the story, and they lost some people. You know, the Ron Perlman was much more simple, was much more straightforward. The David Harbour one was a lot more convoluted, and I think that's what was a strike against it. So, okay. Some moviegoers are just simple. All right. I think that is going to wrap it up. I did the in-store, the Comic Shop Locator thing. But remember, Comic Shop Locator sponsors us. And check out Comic Shop Locator and visit your local comic shop comic stores and buy comics or games or toys or all of that other stuff. Support them, keep them around. Stick around. We still have Minute to Skim It coming up next and Country Road Comics up this evening. And for Voiceless Kyle, Happy Jay, I've been Dan. This has been In Stores This Week. We'll see you next time. Take care.